Hey everybody, welcome back to Becoming One. It's me, Jimmy V. Today I'm with...
Hi, I'm Angela Scullawl. I'm with Heartland Homestead Families.
Thanks for joining in. Today we're going to talk a little bit about how to get more fat into your diet as a carnivore. We're going to walk through and learn how to render tallow so that we can use it in our food and cooking.
Say it with me. Cow, 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 cow.
What do we got, Angie?
So today we have some chopped beef fat, and I believe it is muscle fat.
Yes.
Rather than internal fat, which would be qualified as suet. Either can be used for rendering, and both have exactly the same nutrients, the same composition, and can be used in the same way, same fashion, same mannerism.
Fantastic. Sources. Let's talk about sources real quick. Where do you get yours from?
Good question. So if I purchase a half a beef, I will ask the butcher to save all my fat. They will bag it up and send it home with me, and then we'll do the rendering process here. I have friends and family that do the same thing. Maybe they don't use their fat, but I ask them to save and bring home whatever they're not going to use. And then also you can always get with your butcher, your local butcher, and ask them to save scraps from their extras that they're probably going to throw away. And it'll be raw, it'll be uncut, but definitely usable.
We have a lot of viewers who don't necessarily butcher or process their own meat or have their own animals to go process. So you're going to family and friends who do, and you're saying, hey, when they process, keep that fat, I want it.
Yes,
wow.
Absolutely.
That's fantastic.
Absolutely.
I've got to start doing that.
And it's free. It's free. So just free, no waste.
Nice.
So
excellent. Now we know where to get the stuff from. Have you gone to a butcher that you didn't normally go to and ask them for suet or for some tallow?
Yes. Some butchers just absolutely don't want to do it. They don't want to mess with the holding it until somebody comes to pick it up. Some are absolutely happy to. Raw in a package in a plastic bag, and it really is building relationships with those local people that once they know that you're definitely going to show up, they are more apt to put those things aside for you. Okay,
let's get started.
So we're going to trim up your fat. I'm going to cut it in small chunks, and you're going to try to remove as much muscle meat as possible. 1-inch cubes is good. I think that we have done it a little bit smaller to try to keep it concise here. And then once we get that done, we are going to add our fat to our pot. And we are going to put it on the stove. And the key to rendering your fat is low and slow. And there are 3 ways that you can do this. You can do this on a stovetop in a saucepan. You can do it in a Dutch oven, which we could do on the stove, or we could put it in the oven. Either way. And then the 3rd way would be maybe a crock pot or a slow cooker. So on the stove, it's just low and slow. Right. So as you can see, we are low and slow right now. You don't get it completely clean of all muscle matter, that's fine. We're going to take that off of there at the end of all of this. You're going to find that on the stovetop, it takes a little bit of a watchful eye. It's not something you can start and walk away. To keep from burning, you want to stir frequently. If you were to do this process in a Dutch oven, in the oven, you would want to maybe keep your oven at extremely low. So 225, it's going to take probably a few more hours than maybe what doing it on the stove might take. On the stove, you should be able to accomplish your final product within about a couple of hours. Obviously, the more mass you have, the longer it's going to take, but a couple of hours. And then with the oven, and then also with a slow cooker, those 2 processes would take you more like 5 or 6 hours. The nice thing about those, you can pop them in, start them, and walk away, and stir less frequently.
That's pretty cool. I can already see the fat, and it's clear too. It's not like what you would get if you were like frying bacon. Right.
Right.
It's not dark. It's nice. It's good. It's clear. Cool.
So one of the things you'll have at the end of all this too would be there's going to be some pieces that don't render down, and those pieces, when we're specifically talking about beef, would be called cracklins, and you can eat them as snacks. Some people use them for dog treats, animal food, if you will. Snacks, always fun. That's that extra fat we're talking about, getting you back into your diet there. So just stir, stir, stir. And then at the end of this, we will use a strainer. And the strainer will help pull off any pieces like we just talked about, the cracklins, things that did not go ahead and melt off. And then you can package it away. One way that I really like to package my beef fat once I render it, I like to use mason jars. Mason jars, I can keep them next to my stove. If you were packaging it for long-term storage, you might enter a cool, dark place, the same as you would if you were doing other canned goods, which I know Carnivore is kind of where we're at today. Cool, dark place, and should be shelf stable for about a year. I'll tell you that lard that I have processed the same way, being pig fat, I have kept on a shelf much longer. The recommendation, though, is about a year.
We do have some of this already cooked down. Yep. So what do we do next?
Okay, so you're going to want to have a container that you're going to store your product in. Obviously, we just talked about a mason jar, mason lid, and the next thing I've got is a funnel and a strainer, and I'm going to let you steady the strainer, if you will.
Okay.
And then we're just going to take, we're just going to take our cracklins and our rendered beef fat, and we're just going to pour straight into the container. Some people like to use cheesecloth. That's not my preference. If you're trying this at home, you're going to find the process that you prefer. Sometimes it's an experiment until you find the right process for you.
Right.
So, okay. So now we're just going to take this guy, which there's our cracklins.
That looks good. The cracklins actually look good.
They do, don't they?
I might try one.
Set those aside. Some people like to salt them, snack on them. Some people like them a little bit crunchier, some a little softer. So here we go. We strained off our cracklins. There we are.
Nice.
And it's nice and clear.
Yeah.
You can always do a second filter if you wanted. If you are using this for cooking purposes, maybe the smaller pieces are not necessarily problematic for you that settle. So this is our first render, and you may notice that there are really fine bits that are left in the bottom. Once this solidifies, cools down to a cooler temperature, it's going to have just really fine pieces at the bottom. Rendering for cooking purposes, I don't have a problem with that. Some people might. A second rendering, a second process like we just did might be an option for them. And if for cooking, this is where I would stop.
I know for me, what I would like to start doing is putting a slab of this on my steak after I cook it. Most people would use like a slab of butter, right?
Sure.
I'm considering using this in the same fashion for my food. Is this something that you would use for that?
Absolutely I would. In fact, beyond that even, carnivores, I'm meat-based, meat-heavy diet as well. I like to use my rendered fat and cut it with a hot sauce, a really clean, carb-free hot sauce, and make a dip out of it for my meat.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That's a good
Shabam.
idea.
Yep.
That's a real good idea.
Yummy. a little extra flavor, a little kick maybe,
Yeah.
and then you've added that fat in for all the goals that you're looking to hit.
When this sets up, is that going to look similar to this?
It will look similar to that. Now, this right here is rendered tallow, so not beef fat that we're doing today. However, once this cools down, it's going to have a slight yellow tint to it, and it will be more of a muted color as well.
Okay.
Now, I will tell you that your muscle fat will be a softer consistency compared to that internal organ suet that we talked about earlier. It will have probably a more yellow tint, and a little more firm once it's room temperature.
Okay. When I cook, my whole house smells like it. Even though I've got a vent over the stove, it smells like it. When I make bacon, everything smells like bacon throughout the house. Yep. I have to close my bedroom door because I don't want my bedroom to smell like bacon.
Okay.
Any ideas on how to minimize that, or how to maybe better cut down on that odor that's left over after you're done cooking, or even while you're cooking?
Well, that's a great question. The big meat fog, I suppose, right? I don't. We are really meat-based, heavy meat-based here in our house also. So we have a lot of bacon smell all the time. And I think we have just learned to embrace it. With laundry, we keep our closets closed, keep our bedroom doors closed. So maybe you remediate that slightly in that way. Otherwise, I don't know if I have an answer.
Okay.
I don't. Embrace it. Embrace it.
So if you're watching and you have any suggestions, leave a comment below, because I'm very interested in hearing what you guys have to say. If you've done this before, if you've got any other tips or tricks, drop a comment below. I would love to read some more. I'm planning on going home and doing more of this because I've got about 3-gallon size Ziploc baggies full of tallow that is ready just for me to start rendering and actually eating. Any last words before we sign off for today?
Last words, make sure you label it, use it up, get that fat.
Okay.
All right.
Awesome. Well, thanks for tuning in. Hey, if you haven't already, like, subscribe, share this content, hit the notification bell so that you'll know when we have more content posted. Until the next time, I'm Jimmy V. Thanks for tuning in to Becoming One. Signing off.
Give it to me like